Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about how I got into spoken word before I read you guys a really weird poem. So writing has always been something that's come naturally to me. So something that I've always done as sort of a cathartic way to just process my own stuff. And it's something that followed me throughout school and into college. And eventually I went away to social work school. I now have the opportunity to kind of fuse spoken word and the work that I do, which is I work in a mental health agency for adults that have most often profound mental illness and a long history of trauma. So one thing that has been really inspiring for me is how much people open up when writing is an opportunity for them. So not only is it helpful for me to kind of communicate with the people that I see through writing, but they're able to kind of better open themselves up to me when they have that gift of writing for themselves. So one of the things that I do in the work, well, in the field, is I do a trauma-informed writing group. So people come, and it's not necessarily they have to write about itchy, uncomfortable, awful things that happened to them in their past. It's kind of a forum where they write anything that they want. There's no critiquing, there's no workshopping. It's just an open space to just feel your feels, because we all have a lot of them. One of the great things about this work is how much I can inject my own humor and my own brand of humor into these spaces. So I do therapy with a lot of folks, and if anybody has been to therapy, they know that it kind of has a prescriptive element to it. You go and you talk, and it's not really a place to be funny, and it can be uncomfortable. So in these writing groups, we can be funny, we can be weird, we can be awkward, and these are all of the things that I infuse in my own personality, being awkward and itchy and squirmy and all of those magical things that you don't want your therapist to be. And one of the nice things about being in a writing group is that I'm not a therapist there. I'm just another person who has lived experience and can be anxious and weird and write about Beyoncé. So I'm going to read this poem, and I apologize if at the end of it you're like, why did this person get invited here? Okay, so this is called I Don't Think You're Ready for This, Jelly. You can only spend so many nights flipping through Netflix, winding your way through 90s romantic comedies featuring a strong female lead before you dream those beauties into nighttime realities. Before the pop song of your fantasy prom is a ballad you can hum in your sleep. And the mundane life you lead can be so much more than taking BuzzFeed quizzes at your desk and naming all of your goldfish crackers and making them fight. But I don't want to be Anne Hathaway. I want to be Beyoncé. And I don't want to really be Beyoncé. I want to be me being Beyoncé. First of all, the initial wake up in each other's bodies would be epic. We would both stretch and yawn and then look down aghast. Beyoncé would find herself in my unmade bed, probably with an episode of Law & Order still on, maybe holding a half-eaten tuna sandwich that was being gnawed on by the dog. I would wake up, and what I can only imagine is her canopy princess waterbed, complete with a remote control fountain screen and hammock setting that lightly rocks you awake and tilts you up slowly, before ever so gently lifting your blankets and pulling down the sheets while making you a perfectly proportioned latte, with a picture of Blue Ivy's face in the foam. I'd look to my right and see Jay-Z tucked in beside me and be like, finally. It would be okay for a while. I mean, internally we'd both be really messed up and psychologically unsound, but everything would appear same as it ever was until a couple days went by and things started to get really weird. For one thing, people at work would likely be put off by my mannerisms. Lauren, we're really impressed with your newfound style and all, but this bedazzled onesie that you're wearing to our team meeting really isn't workplace appropriate. And can you please stop dropping it low? It's really creeping us out. Conversely, Beyoncé would start raising eyebrows when she started dropping poop jokes to the press and insisting on calling all these kids in the suburbs to have the following conversation. Hey, Katie, is it? Do you remember how you didn't invite me to your birthday party at Plaster Paint Palace? And I was like, you'll get yours, jerk. I just wanted to call you and let you know that I'm Beyoncé now, so yeah, you're lost, bye. The weirdness factor would gradually increase as bizarro Beyoncé continued to physically let herself go, just sort of bop around on stage without any real understanding of choreography, and then spend copious amounts of money at pet stores, insisting she wanted the dopest aquarium ever, while walking around a couple of baby pigs everywhere she went, and often forgetting she had a daughter. When in my body, Beyoncé started to refer to herself as her new alter ego, Lauren Fierce, wielding around a metal hand and breaking out into spontaneous dance moves on the regular, my friends might start mistaking this behavior as some sort of weird religious awakening and suggest I see a spiritual advisor, but can't help but notice how big my hair keeps getting, impressed with my ability to walk around nonchalantly in 6-inch spike heels. When Bey starts crying that some weird girl took over her body, that she's really trapped Beyoncé and how did this happen, oh baby, it might get her committed. And when Jay-Z's all upset because I don't know what he means when he keeps referencing all these inside jokes between us, I just keep saying surfboard. He suggests that he and Blue Ivy take some time away. The tabloids go nuts. They're following me and my baby piglets everywhere. Flashing lights, headlines read, "Is Beyoncé crazy in love or just crazy?" Well, in my body, she starts screaming, "I'm irreplaceable, I run the world, darn it!" And it would sort of turn into this horrific downward spiral that I haven't really thought of all the way through yet. But the point of this fantasy is that I would like it to somehow peak with Beyoncé as myself to just release some really catchy song that will become a big enough hit for me to pay off my student loans. Because eventually, I will get tired of ruining Beyoncé's life, and eventually figure out the magic incantation or enact the natural disaster that needs to take place for things to return to normal. I'll reveal my true self to Jay-Z, and he'll be like, "That's okay, you weird person. I knew something was off, but you'll always be my friend." And then all will be right with the world, and Beyoncé and I will join up in our given bodies and hug and be all like, "I really learned a powerful lesson about life and meaning and not taking anything for granted." We'll agree that it's always better to be your truest self, and even better after you've made a lot of money. And we'll invent a secret handshake just between us two, and she'll even let me keep my baby piglets, one of whom I will name after her. And after we take 1,000 selfies to post on my Instagram as proof of my Beyoncé adventure, we'll all laugh, and Blue Ivy will say, "That was fierce." Soon after, I'll get a book deal about how I changed the course of humanity and call it Bootylicious. And Lena Dunham will be like, "Wow, you were right, Lauren. You are more talented than I am. People should really stop comparing us." And it might not be world peace or anything, but I'd like to think that the experiment itself, if nothing else, will serve as a helpful reminder that even though I might not get to ever really be Beyoncé, at least not in any long-term type of way, as the fates would have it, it's really not so bad being just little old me. Thank you for having me.